Welcome everyone to the September channel update. I'm technically recording this in August, but it's the last day of August, and my internet provider has informed me that I'm at 90% of my data. I like to live on the edge. Yeah, but it recycles tomorrow, so that's okay. Anyways, we're here to talk about the channel and a lot of things. This is going to be the longest update ever because I'm going to group it in with a couple of different things. But first, let's just get into the channel stuff because I'm going to do it in a way that, like, the things that will interest more people will be toward the front. And then as we go on, it'll be less interesting to most people. So you just turn it off as soon as you get bored. That might mean right now, but that's okay. So let's talk about the channel. I was looking at my notes and writing notes and stuff for this update, and I figured there were 3 different videos going on right now on the channel. The slow videos. Most notably there is Asher. Asher's going pretty slow. I just haven't had the time to really devote to it. I've got to be focused to record Asher and really be in the mood to record Asher, and that hasn't really kicked in a lot lately. So Asher's slow. Parkitect is a little slow because I'm going to use that series to get more user interaction, and I've already got the first video out and got great interaction and suggestions on that, so the next video for that I'll be recording soon. And then there's Fire Pro Wrestling World, CPW, which I take as a great success. People really enjoyed that. I'm very happy with how it turned out. If you don't know, I'm playing Fire Pro Wrestling World, but I'm not playing it. I'm creating a wrestling show called Circuit Professional Wrestling out of the game with custom characters and commenters and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a ton of work. So that'll be coming out like monthly at best. That's one of those quality over quantity things. And so that's the first chunk, the slow videos, the videos that are kind of coming out just when I have the time or the inspiration. Then there's the long series, which right now there are 2 of them. There's Chrono Trigger going on. And in this Chrono Trigger series, I'm replacing the soundtrack with music from remixes of the game soundtrack. So it's still the music from the game, it's just remixes of the original soundtrack. And then Pillars of Eternity, which we're about to finally dig in and actually get into some like dungeon crawling fighting stuff. So far it's been talking to people and meeting people. Depending on how the next few videos go will determine how much longer this series goes on. I want to keep playing the game. I just don't know how much I want to make videos of the game yet. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see. Then there's the Clump series. I had been calling this Burst, but I like Clump better. That sounds more, I don't know, gross? Gross isn't the right word. I don't know. Does the word clump gross you out? Does it make you think of poop? I don't know. So in the Clump series, we got Oxygen Not Included is at the top of this list. I love that game so much. They just got a big update, though there was a bug which led to this series of the Outbreak upgrade. It led to this series being shortened a bit. I don't know if this video will be out before that last video goes out, so spoiler alert, it's going to end soon. Don't Starve is going to come back. That was really fun because I was terrible at it and I only lasted 2 episodes, really 1.5. Stellaris needs to come back. Prison Architect will come back eventually. Every now and then I get the itching to play that. Oh, I forgot to write RimWorld on this list. RimWorld, love that game. Halcyon 6, once I get my feet a little bit more wet with that, I'm going to play that. People compare that to FTL, but it's like people say FTL is Star Trek Voyager and Halcyon 6 is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I love. Deep Space Nine is my favorite Star Trek series. However, I don't really get that vibe from Halcyon 6 other than you're on a space station. I don't know. I'm still iffy on Halcyon 6. That's why I want to get into it a bit more before I commit to doing a series, but it's probably going to show up at some point. And then FTL will be back at some point every now and then. Minecraft will be coming back at some point because I fixed my mouse problem. And turns out the problem was, in fact, I'm trying to lift up my mouse. Here, I'm going to show you. I've got my phone recording. We're going to have some webcamception going. Oh wait, no, that's not going to do what I want it to do. I would have to be forward facing the camera. Anyways, my mouse, I got this fancy mouse with all sorts of dongles and like you can change the sensitivity of it and stuff. Turns out Java does not like the sensitivity being super high. And so I either have to lower the sensitivity, I haven't fully tested that yet, or at the very least just swap out my mouse for my rinky-dink HP USB mouse. No big deal on that. So Minecraft will be back. That's why there's been 0 Minecraft, because my mouse was screwing up in Minecraft and it was making it not only impossible to play, but absolutely horrendous to record. Minecraft server, by the way, on the subject of Minecraft, if you want to join the Minecraft server, let me know. The only requirement is I just kind of have to know who you are. Like, you have to have been a commenter or in the Discord or something like that. I'm not gonna let you join if the first comment on my videos is you saying, hey, I want to join your Minecraft server. That's gonna be a no. You have to get to know me first, and I have to get to know you first before I can trust you on my server. And likewise, if you'd like to join the Discord, ask for a link below and I'll shoot you that information. So that's the first section. The second section is going to talk about the reveal that I'm standing. I'm now at my standing desk. I've been doing this for probably about a month now. Now I'm going to switch to portable mode real quick. I got 2 mics set up. I'm fancy. So, hello, phone. Can you focus? Phone. There you go. So here's my desk. What I did was went to Target. Oh, whoops, I forgot. Hold on. I have this here because if I put this lamp up here, we get this like, oh, bright light over here. Don't like that. So anyways, my desk, my standing desk. I've got this big honking desk that's meant to be for like a cubicle, and it's huge. So anyways, the main monitor is being propped up by a Nintendo Switch box. And that other thing on top of that is a video of an audio effects processor. I haven't used that yet, but I technically could if I wanted to. Can do echo and reverb and stuff like that. My different amiibos and Minecraft dude and stuff like that. My very first test at a clay miniature for Pathfinder, which we'll get to in a little bit. My floating D20 die. Second monitor. I've got my iMac sitting over here and keyboards and whatnot. When I need to use that, I just pull it out in front here and sit down at it. Underneath, subwoofer, Switch games. Sorry, my hand's shaking because I'm using my left hand. Switch games and 3DS games and stuff like that. Computer stuff. Then over here, this is going to be our transition. That's it for the desk. Now we're going to transition. So I've talked a lot. My kid's bookshelf, by the way, is atrocious, but that's just what happens when you have 1,000 books and a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Sorry. If I'm going to round up one age, I need to round up both ages. A 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. There we go. This is this is my area to put things that I don't want the kids to get into. But it's become my craft shelf. I've got to figure out a better storage solution for this stuff. So lately I've probably talked a good bit about, and I'm going to give you a quick little preview of what we're going to talk about. I've been getting a lot more into Pathfinder DIY crafting stuff. And that's been consuming a lot of my time. So videos aren't as far ahead as I usually would like them to be. The first thing I got into, let me show you this. The first thing that I got into with, can I reach it with this mic cord? The first thing I got into with this crafting stuff was drawing maps. And I've never been much of a visual artist, but dadgum, did I find something I was decent at. So here's the first map I drew of our first little campaign that we did, which is pretty cool. Proud of that. And then the most recent map I drew was, where is that one? There she blows. Gotta turn it because it's actually, well, no, you're just gonna, no. Yeah, here we go. Let me turn it. It's just not gonna be as big of a view because it's a vertical map. That's the latest map I've drawn. Really proud of this. Look at the water and stuff. Isn't it so cool? Oh, it's so awesome. And then what I did was, I draw all that, right? Then what I do is I throw it in Photoshop and I colorize it. Pretty neat. So that is the continent of Aeterus. Get in close. Pretty neat stuff. I'm really proud of that. So the map making led to some other things. It's time to make some cuts and I'll show you all the different things I've been doing. The next thing I got into was making miniatures of clay. Now, those miniatures looked meh at best. Like I showed you my little guy. Here, I'll show him to you again. My little golem dude. That was with really, really bad clay for doing miniatures. Like, that looks like crap. That's just about as good as you can get with that type of clay. But then I discovered, you know what? You know what I can do with clay pretty well is terrain walls and stuff like that. So I've got a stone wall on one side and a wood wall on the other, and they just kind of stand up and do their thing. And then I've got some that are door tiles, stuff like that. So this was all fun and good, and I made a little spiral staircase thing, which was pretty fun, if it'll focus. I'll get a close-up of all these on my phone. Little fountain. What else is in here? Boxes and chests and a little bag. Hold on, let me pull them out. Staircase, stuff like that. There we go. All right, here we go. Phone close-up. Yes, there's my little fountain, like, I don't know, water container thingy. Little loot bag. Stuff like that. So I got into the clay and painting the clay and stuff like that. And that was fine and dandy, but it was super time consuming and not exactly what I was wanting. I was wanting something a little bit bigger, something that stood up on its own better. And then I discovered a channel called Drunkens and Dragons. This guy, Hankerin Furnail, is this really cool guy who does like DM tips and like he gives examples. Oh, I forgot I need to move my light source down here so I'm not glowing anymore. There we go. See how much nicer that is? He does like DM tips and stuff like that, and he also does like arts and crafts stuff for Pathfinder and D&D and tabletop games and stuff like that. So this, hold on, let me adjust there we go, so I can see what I'm looking at. This is, if you want to get into DIY terrain building, this is what you want. This is foam or something. What's it called? Foam. It's foam. It's rigid insulation, rigid home insulation. This is the type of stuff you put in your walls to keep your house cool when it's hot outside, or hot when it's cold outside. This is 1 inch thick board. You want to try and shoot for 2 inch thick. You can pick it up at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's insanely cheap. The problem is it's insanely big. This, what you see here, is 1/4 of the entire sheet. It's a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet that you buy for $20. $20 for 4 feet by 8 feet of this stuff. Now, I drive a Corolla. That's bigger than my entire car. So I asked the guy to come help me, and I was like, I drive a Corolla. I don't need this in one piece. I'm going to make craft stuff out of it. Can I cut this before I go buy it? And he's like, oh, yeah, go ahead. So I whip out my pocket knife, slice it up into 4 chunks. So this is 1/4 of it. This whole thing is whoa, I just hit the fan. This whole thing, there we go, is just 1/4 of it. Go over here. There we go. So what do we do with that? Well, we make cool little terrain things. So what you do is you start making tiles and stuff like that. We'll get to the finished product here in a minute. You basically, here, I'll use my phone for this close-up. Let's put it down here. It's nice and lit. You basically carve all around the edges, give it like a rocky look, right? And Drunkens and Dragons does this thing where he scores the top. Now, they play with tiles like most, by the books D&D and Pathfinder players do. We don't, but I just think it looks cooler with the tiles. And then you use whoops, I used the wrong hand to point. You use a D6 or a D8 or something like that to like punch these indentations, and it gives it a nice textured look, like the tiles have kind of been worn. So then the next thing you do, and you can also do like ramps and stuff, which that's not super nice looking, but that's about as nice as I could get it for now. Then what you do is you paint those things with various different shades of gray. So you end up, now this one does not have the lines or the punctures. I just wanted to test and see what one looked like. So you end up with this cool little stone tile. But then what you also do is you do a real big one. So these are like the little tiles that you can use to lay out and make platforms or raise the terrain. What you also need to do is build yourself a big one. This one's really not as big as I thought it was when I measured it. It's 1.5 feet by like 2.5 feet. But what you get then is you get this nice big terrain board for your players to put their minis on and you to put your monsters on and stuff like that. And so you build your dungeon and your scene on top of this board. So I've got one that's a dungeon or a cave. I've got another that is outdoor terrain, a dirty grassy field. And the grass, you can't really see it probably. Let me get in close with the phone. It's got this texture on it. Oh yeah, that's showing up. That's pretty cool. That took a lot of time to use the little tool that I was using to puncture those, which is why it's not completely grass. So I've got these, got these main big boards, but then I got a bunch of smaller things that are really cool. So I showed you the little 8-inch tiles. There's also some wall tiles. Those are pretty standard and basic, nothing super special about them. They're just dungeon walls. I've also got a little rock formation. That was something I was working on last night. Pretty cool. You just do the different shapes and hot glue them together, and then we'll paint it. I've got some smaller rocks here that I use for like outside stuff. Nothing too special with those, just going quick. All right, now to show you some little things that I've been working on. These are like some little activators, kind of like what you'd see in Breath of the Wild. Like the players can go touch those or hit those with their weapon or something, and it'll activate like a wall or a door, or maybe a platform moves or something like that. It could also signify like an item they're supposed to go grab, but there's a monster guarding it or something like that. Just neat little tiles like that. And then I've got these wooden objects. This could be like a simple fence. It could also be used to prop something up, like this wooden pallet type thing. And all these are made of are tongue depressors or popsicle sticks, whatever you want to call them, stained and then dirtied up with some dark brown paint. Those are just some bundles of sticks, and then like a little rope made out of string. It's pretty cool. I've also got these kind of more decorative architectural pieces for inside dungeons, for if I wanted something to look like it was like a carved like border or something like that. Maybe to border some stairs. Now these stairs are cool because they're designed to kind of go up against those 8x8 inch tiles that I showed you earlier. So that's pretty neat. And now this is the thing that I'm most proud of. Now this side looks okay. Nothing wrong with that. Nice little tile. But this tile, I learned this from Drunkens and Dragons, is reversible. So if you want to make like a wooden walkway, how cool is that? It's basically that type of planking setup, but on top of stone or dirt. I kind of did it so that it could be stone or dirt, just left it kind of dark. How cool does that look? Oh, I love those pieces. So here's our adventurer, a fighter with a sword and shield. Arr. And he's going up against a frost mage, and suddenly he finds himself surrounded in ice. How cool are these? Another thing I learned from Hanker Infernale at Drunkens and Dragons. This is, all it is like the top of a dice box. You know how you get dice, like Chessex dice, and it has those little containers? That's all that is. And then you do hot glue in various droopings, and you make a cool little ice container to trap your players in. Very, very immersive. Or, let's say you want to trap your player, but not in a magical thing. Let's say they spring a trap. Whoops, I didn't mean to knock you over, buddy. Isn't that awesome? Now this is something, let me get it in the light really good. How cool is that? It looks like a rusted steel cage. Oh man, I love it so much. It's got string attached to it in case I want to hang it somewhere for some reason, for visual purposes or whatever. But yeah, that and the double-sided tiles are probably my two favorite things I've done so far. And all that is, again, tongue depressors, hot glue, and paint. That's all that is. Oh, and the rope, obviously. And then I've also got some little things like this plant here. You can get that at Walmart. A lot of this stuff you can get at craft stores or Walmart for just a couple of bucks a piece. Which brings me to the final point. You say, Kyle, how much did all this cost you? Not much, to be honest. If you're wanting to get into this sort of thing, whether for trains, if you do like big train setups, or if you're playing D&D or Pathfinder and you want to make your own terrain and stuff like that, it's really super simple. And like, this is something I've gotten so into, I've considered making specific videos for it. I don't know, maybe that will happen. When I get a little bit better, we'll start looking at that. But you're asking yourself, Kyle, how do you get into this? It's really simple. We already covered this 4x8 foot sheet. It's $20, and I have used less than half of it already. On everything you've seen is less than half of that, and I've already done the big things, the big boards and the 8x8 tiles. I'm done with those. I have smaller things to do. I have to do more of the double-sided tiles. That's what I need to do. These are tiny, and not only that, but these are half. You cut the board in half to make these. It's so cost effective. So that's $20, right? Tongue depressors, I don't know, $5-6 for a huge pack of them. Chessex dice boxes, something you probably already have. Glue gun, glue sticks, something you probably already have. You go out and buy paint. These, I haven't opened these yet. These we got on sale. They're giant black and white paint. Don't buy expensive paint. Don't buy expensive paint. Buy the cheapest acrylic paint you can. $1, $29 or something like that at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. These were on sale at Michael's for like $6, and they're gigantic, and they got a pump. And you're going to use a lot of black and white, whether to adjust the color of other colors or just to make gray for stone. And you really don't even need that many colors. You need brown, which I've just got 2 browns because I used a lot of brown. And you need some greens if you're wanting to do grass, probably 2, one to do a base and one to do a highlight. And then you need stain, which is more expensive than paint. This was like $7, $8, but like you buy it once and you're done for forever because you're not going to use that much of this. You know why? Because you're staining popsicle sticks. You're not staining a coffee table. So there's all that. What else is there? I got, what else? Oh, rope stuff. Cord. I actually got this for something else, which I'll show you in a sec. But rope stuff. Hemp twine things. $3? And again, all these things, yeah, this adds up to maybe $60 in total. 50 maybe? I don't know. But I'm not going to have to buy anything new except maybe paint. Oh, and I also got, get yourself a big like multi-pack of paint for colors, and like you're done. You don't need that much in the realm of color. It's just for highlights or specific things. And maybe you're a player. Maybe you're not a DM and you're not into making terrain, but you're a player and you've always been interested in dice boxes. It's really simple. Get yourself, like this was to like a USB DVD drive for my wife's laptop. Yeah, just buy some felt, put it in the bottom. Or if you have some sort of like wooden tray, I don't know what this started as, but it's ended up being a nice little dice tray. Or if you want to go fancier, you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and find yourself a little wooden tray. Stain that sucker, paint it however you want, add some felt. That was like $6 and this was like $8, or maybe the other way around. This is my holder for the dice and the other tray is for rolling the dice, and this has a little magnetic closer. Yeah, it's so cheap and easy, and this is why I've struggled making a lot of videos lately, because I've been obsessed. Another option for dice trays is get yourself, now this is one of those things that isn't necessarily cost effective. I guess you can buy smaller bags of them, but my wife just happened to have a bunch of snaps, like, you know, like on kids' pants or something, little plastic snap things. Get yourself a cloth, like some sort of leathery cloth, and you cut it like so, if you can follow this design. You cut it in such a way that when you snap them together, so it like rolls up flat, or folds up flat, so it stores really well. So when you snap it all together, it makes a dice tray, a nice little portable dice tray. Also, for you DMs out there, I've come up with a great solution for keeping track of initiative order, which is something that always frustrates me, because you're like, okay, especially with a large group, you're like, okay, what number are you? 7. Oh, you're 12? Oh, you're 4. Oh, you're 23. And you're like getting all these numbers out of order, and you've got to write them down, and then you got to resort everything. What you do is, well, and this is assuming you have means to laminate. I happen to have access to a laminator at work, so I'm able to make these cool little initiative trackers. So what you do with these is, I printed like the players' names on them, but then you have a place here with a dry erase marker where you can write down the initiative number, and then you can order them however the heck you want. And you could also like have space to like write down like conditions and stuff, like if they're dazed or something like that, you have places to look like. So you just print up a bunch of these, laminate them, cut them out, and bam. Cool stuff. And finally, my favorite thing. My wife crocheted me this awesome dice bag. I love it so much. There's not really much else to show you with that. I didn't make that, so that doesn't count for an easy DIY thing. This isn't easy. Crocheting is not for the faint at heart. So I think that's it. This has been the longest update video ever, but this has been a channel update and a life update, because my life lately has been Pathfinder. We started up a new campaign. Ooh, let me tell you about the campaign. Now we're reaching a new leg of people who probably don't really care, so you're going to turn it off now. But if you want to know what our campaign is doing, listen up. So we had a prologue campaign for the story I wanted to ultimately tell. And the purpose of this prologue was for all of us to get our feet wet in the game, because this was my first time DMing. This was all of their first time playing. And so I wanted to do a short campaign to start with, so that then we could start a second campaign with new characters, and now they kind of understand things. So the first campaign, what happened was there was a big accident with some mages in the mage tower, and there was an explosion of magic as they were working on a golem control rod. And this explosion then created golems and kind of brought magic back into the world, because magic had kind of died down because it kind of got too hectic, and then they got rid of it all, and now it's coming back because of this accident. So my party was enlisted by the Grand Mage who caused the accident to go kill all these golems, or figure out what was wrong. They didn't know it was golems at the time. He had theorized that there might be golems that were created because of this explosion. Sure enough, there were. So my party was tasked with going around and fighting all these golems and stuff like that. And they did. They fought a golem made of river rocks. They fought a golem that was a big. It was a tree, but it was like a vine tree. It was all twisted up, and he had big pounding arms of vines that are all like knuckles and stuff. And then he's got vines that are reaching out and grabbing them in different places. There was a. Anyways, the final. Oh, there was a golem. Or there was a golem made of books. He was formed inside of a library, and so he's this golem of books, and he's sentient. He's nice. He's good. He can't speak, but he could write, and he could listen. And so they found a nice golem. And then on the final battle, the final day, a storm had been approaching on the main central capital city, and the party arrives, and the people in the town, the council, is like, something's wrong here. And suddenly, they had seen the Grand Mage who caused the accident, and he died from a golem. The very first golem smashes him. So I forgot to mention that the Grand Mage died. But the mage's apprentice, no one had seen him. They thought they had met him, and they did, but they didn't know who he was, and he kind of escaped their grasp because he's magical, and he disappeared. Well, he reappears, and he comes up, and he's breathing heavy, and he says, "I'm sorry. I've been trying to fix this. And he's got the broken golem control rod in his hand, which is the answer to solve all of this, but it's broken. He's been trying to fix it." And he says, as the final golem is approaching from the sky, this death golem is coming down. He starts backing away from the party and the council that's there, and he says, "I'm sorry. I'm going to try to fix this." And the party's like, "No, don't you leave us. Don't you leave us." Gone. So the mage's apprentice disappears. He vanishes, promising them that he's going to try to fix this. Meanwhile, the death golem appears from below, or appears from above into the sky, and he forms, and he's just made of this almost like plasma, cloudy, purpley. He's just death. He's got bone and stuff like floating around him and stuff like that. And he's a death golem. That's what I referred to him as. And most of the golems they fought had to be like a rock, paper, scissors fight. Like the river golem was made of river rocks, and he was kind of held together by like the muddy, wet dirt. And so the secret to beat him was to get him wet, because it cleans all the dirt off, and that's the binding agent, and it caused the rocks to fall apart and stuff like that. The plant guy was fire, and so on and so forth. So the death golem, they're like, well, what's it going to take to kill him? And I don't think any of them tried this. They could have tried doing a healing potion on him, which would have done damage, not enough to kill him, though. But that's the right track. The idea is life is what kills the death golem, specifically sacrificial life. So to end the campaign, all of them had to die sacrificially. They all had to give their lives in a way that the death golem would kill them, and they were giving their life sacrificially. So if say one of them was running away from the death golem and the death golem kills him, that wasn't a sacrificial giving of your life, because you were trying to run away. So they had to stand up to the golem and be killed, basically. And it did. It worked. They thought, though, maybe it's just death. Maybe it's people dying near him that kills him. And so they had the bard run up to the golem and grab him on the leg, which caused, I think, some damage because he was touching a death golem. And then the fighter dwarf comes up with his axe, gets this insane attack roll with an insane damage roll, and just splits the bard's head in the middle, killing him in one hit. And nothing happened. They're like, "But I thought death is what hurt the golem." And they hadn't quite figured out at that point that it was a sacrificial death that had to kill it. So this team of adventurers saved the world from this death golem by giving up their life. Now, this new campaign takes place like 2,000 years later. And what's happened is, in that 2,000 years, history has been rewritten for some reason. And all of these heroic tales of these adventuring heroes have been twisted to where they're evil, and that the Grand Mage brought this team together to destroy the world. The Grand Mage purposefully summoned all of these golems, and somehow throughout history things have changed, or the story's changed, and now their former characters are thought of as villains instead of heroes. And that's part of their goal, is to figure out why that is, how that happened, and how can we, finally once and for all end this reign of evil magic in the world. So it's going to be pretty cool. I would love to keep giving updates on this, so I have to be super vague, because I'm running a good campaign, and a buddy of mine, Austin, is running the evil campaign in the same world, in the same time, roughly. We're trying to keep up with that. And so I don't want the evil campaign guys knowing what's going on in the good campaign, and vice versa. All I'll say is this: the good campaign, their plot is that they have been they have been recruited, that's a better word, by a conspiracy theorist who has figured out some things regarding why history was changed and how we need to learn more about this and figure out what the truth is. So they're hired by an aliens kind of guy. Okay, I think that's it. This has been the longest channel update ever, but I had a lot to say. It's been a long time since a channel update, and I love Pathfinder stuff. It's just so cool. All right, so that'll do it for today, this month. Probably won't see you for a number of months. I've said enough. We'll see you guys next time. Adios. Goodbye.